Hello again, everyone. My name is Kevin Richardson. I'm back for another installment of what I call a chapter a day to keep the devil at bay, where I read a chapter from the Bible each day from three different versions of the Bible: the King James Version, the New International Version, and then finally the New Living Translation. Each one of them has slight differences in the wording and the phrasing. And like King James Version tends to be pretty redundant. They say it's poetic, but I don't know. I don't really care too much for it myself. But at the same time, though, if it weren't for it, we probably wouldn't have all these other versions. So we have to give credit where credit is due, but we also have to accept that the wording and the language on it. Uh, uh, I don't really care for it for this modern audience. Maybe if we lived in 1500s, 1600s or something still, it might would make sense. But anyways, I mean, it's good for us to be able to go ahead and keep it in our minds and everything, so we can be able to check back with it, to check against the newer translations, I suppose, to be able to make sure that they're staying true to the word that is written in it. So since there's been so many people that I've seen in the comment section on Bible Time with Melanie and Mac that kept on saying, oh, you need to read King James Version only and all this other stuff and everything, and they even go in there speaking in the same archaic tongue that's written in this particular book, trying to act like, I don't know, like that's some kind of medieval crusaders or something, I don't know, but they try to tear her down for the fact that she reads from the New Living Translation and from the ESV version also. Either way, though, I decided to go ahead and do this where I could be able to read from this version here and these two versions here all together, so that people could be able to see that there isn't that much of a difference between them, except for in the changing of certain terms like man to human and stuff like that where it's necessary. And a lot of people try to say that it's gender neutral language and all that, and it's actually not gender neutral language. It's not like they're over there trying to say Noah was a human and his wife was a human. No, they would say Noah was a man and his wife was a woman if it were written anywhere like that, you know. But like, I mean, it even said Adam was a man and his wife Eve was a woman. Like she was, so it's not like it's not trying to do away with proper gender roles or anything else like that. It's not woke, and like a lot of people sit there and try to accuse it of being woke, and it's not. They just, for some reason, they feel the need, the compulsion to try to tear down anyone who is trying to spread the word of God if it's not in the form that they feel most comfortable with, while at the same time they're sitting there not spreading the word of God. So I mean, I would criticize them for the fact that they didn't have a channel of their own where they were reading the King James Version. So why were they even complaining about somebody else in the version that they chose to be able to read to other people? And then I was like, well, how much of a difference is there really anyways? And that's the reason why I decided to go ahead and do this. I could be able to show how little of a difference there is between each of these different versions. And so, I mean, I hope that I can be able to encourage people to be able to do their own studies and their own reading, and to be able to remind everyone that you should read at least a chapter of the Bible every day to be able to stay in the Word, and it will change your life. You'll be able to increase in your faith, that you'll retain your faith, that you'll be less troubled by the troubles of the world if you keep yourself close to God. And to do so, you read the Bible. And for me, I listen to a lot of Christian music and stuff also. So I go to church every Sunday, and I try to and do everything I can to be able to spread the word in between. Then I don't know. It's enough to talk about all the different things that I do, though, because I mean, I do try. I make an effort because I should try, and I should make an effort, as we all should. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and start off now reading chapter 8 in the King James Version, and then do the New International Version and the New Living Translation. Chapter 8. And God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained. And the waters returned from off the earth continually, and after the end of the 150 days the waters were abated. And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. And he sent forth a raven, which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. Also he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, and she returned unto him into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. Then he put forth in his hand, and took her, and pulled her in unto him into the ark. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came in to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. And he stayed yet other 7 days, and sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him any more. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the 1st month, the 1st day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And in the 2nd month, on the 7th and 20th day of the month, was the earth dried. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife, and thy sons' wives, and thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee of all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. And Noah went forth, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with them. Every beast, every creeping thing, and every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth, after their kinds, went forth out of the ark. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. That's it for chapter 8 of the King James Version. And now we are on to chapter 8 of the New International Version. And it reads as such. Chapter 8. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock that were with him in the ark, and he sent a wind over the earth, and waters receded. Now the springs of the deep and the floodgates of the heavens had been closed, and the rain had stopped falling from the sky. The water receded steadily from the earth at the end of the 150 days. the water had gone down, and on the 17th day of the 7th month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. The waters continued to recede until the 10th month, and on the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains became visible. After 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven, and it kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth. Then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground. But the dove could find no place to set its feet because there was water over all the surface of the earth. So it returned to Noah in the ark. He reached out his hand and took the dove and brought it back to himself in the ark. He waited 7 more days and again sent out the dove from the ark. Then, when the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again, but this time it did not return to him. By the first day of the first month of Noah's 601st year, the water had dried up from the earth. Noah then removed the covering from the ark and saw that the surface of the ground was dry. By the 27th day of the 2nd month, the earth was completely dry. Then God said to Noah, "Come out of the ark, you and your wife, and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, the birds, the animals, and all the creatures that move along the ground, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number upon it." So Noah came out, together with his sons and his wife and his sons' wives. All the animals and all the creatures that move along the ground and all the birds, everything that moves on the earth, came out of the ark, one kind after another. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and taking some of all the clean animals and clean birds, he sacrificed burnt offerings on it. The Lord smelled the pleasing aroma and said in his heart, "Never again will I curse the ground because of man, even though every inclination of his heart is evil from childhood, and never again will I destroy all living things as I have done. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease." Alright, that's it for chapter 8 of the International Version. Now we're on to chapter 8, the New Living Translation. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and livestock with him in the boat. He sent a wind to blow across the earth, and the flood waters began to recede. The underground waters stopped flowing, and the torrential rains from the sky were stopped, so the flood waters gradually receded from the earth. After 150 days, exactly 5 months from the time the flood began, the boat came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. 2.5 months later, as the waters continued to go down, other mountain peaks became visible. After another 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made in the boat and released a raven. The bird flew back and forth until the floodwaters on the earth had dried up. He also released a dove to see if the water had receded and it could find dry ground. But the dove could find no place to land because the water still covered the ground. So it returned to the boat, and Noah held out his hand and drew the dove back inside. After waiting another 7 days, Noah released the dove again. This time the dove returned to him in the evening with a fresh olive leaf in its beak. Then Noah knew that the floodwaters were almost gone. He waited another 7 days and then released the dove again. This time it did not come back. Noah was now 601 years old. On the first day of the new year, 10.5 months after the flood began, the floodwaters had almost dried up from the earth. Noah lifted back the covering of the boat and saw that the surface of the ground was drying. 2 more months went by, and at last the earth was dry. Then God said to Noah, "Leave the boat, all of you, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Release all the animals, the birds, the livestock, and the small animals that scurry along the ground, so they can be fruitful and multiply throughout the earth." So Noah, his wife, and his sons and their wives left the boat. And all of the large and small animals and birds came out of the boat, pair by pair. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and there he sacrificed as burnt offerings the animals and birds that had been approved for that purpose. And the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice, and said to himself, I will never again curse the ground because of the human race, even though everything they think or imagine is bent toward evil from childhood. I will never again destroy all living things. As long as the earth remains, there will be planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night. And there you have it for chapter 8 of the New Living Translation. And I'm not kidding. King James Version. It's good to have to be able to keep for a reference, to be able to make sure everything else is still in line with what was written back then. And there are some things that biblical scholars have shown, as well as archaeologists have shown, that the King James Version has in it that were actually added at later times than some of the manuscripts that they have found since then. But King James worked with what he had available at the time, and our archaeologists and stuff have found new versions, not new versions, older versions of the same works, which is the reason why it is that some of the stuff that's in the King James Version later on will be left out of the New Living Translation, because it's more true to the original source material that has been found since the time of King James, whenever he had all the different people translate the Bible to the form that it is in the King James Version. Anyhow, I mean, these are things that I've learned over the past several months as I've gotten back into the Word, and I just figured that I'd share these little tidbits of knowledge as they come to me, while I'm also working to read through all these chapters. I pray that someone out there can be able to hear what I have to say, and maybe it'll affect them in a positive way. Whether it's somebody that's King James only person that harasses people for no good reason, that are out there trying to spread the word of God, or if it's somebody that's never even heard the word of God and they're able to find their way to God because of my efforts, that'll make me happy. I pray that I could be able to make some kind of a difference in this world, some kind of an impact, that I might be able to make somebody's life better. And I'll eventually get around to telling my story about all the things that I've been through. Maybe that'll help to be able to get people to see that if after all of that I still have faith, that maybe they can as well. I don't know. Some people have had it worse than I have, I'm sure. We've all had it differently. For every walk in life, there's somebody walking it. And my walk has been pretty rough. One of these days, like I said, I'll get around to sharing my story. But until then, and until the next time, I pray that y'all have a great day, and I'll see y'all when I see y'all.